I think the most interesting thing that's happened, and that's just happened in the last few moments or so, is this almost begging that's come out of the Metropolitan Police to the organisers of the march, saying, please, can you reconsider? I mean, I suspect that they're on a hiding to nothing. The Met is on a hiding to nothing. I'm sure the organisers probably won't say, we will cancel the march. I do wonder whether people are not worrying unnecessarily, because Remembrance weekend, the Armistice on Saturday and the Sunday Remembrance, is a hugely important moment in our national calendar. And I think all of us around here would expect and hope and pray everybody to give it the respect and seriousness that it deserves. Having said that, the march isn't supposed to be going anywhere near Whitehall or the Cenotaph. It's going to, from Hyde Park down to Vauxhall, where the American embassy is, and it's starting a couple of hours after the 11 o'clock silence. So there's a bit of me that thinks this should be able to be handled by the Met Police. But in some ways, to me, they seem a bit weak today for saying, go on. Can you just not bother this weekend, because it's going to make our life a little bit difficult?
And it's not going to happen, is it? Because the thing is that it's been agreed that it can go ahead. You know, it's like it would be last minute if you suddenly said no. I mean, I think what people are worried about, though, is not that it's not going anywhere near the Cenotaph. It's not going to go, you know, as you say, it's not going there. Well, that's if everybody agrees to do what they're supposed to be doing and actually is doing what Yousaf Hamza says, which is, you know, a reflection. It's a weekend of reflection, and surely that the armistice was all about peace. Yes, it is. But the trouble is, what we've seen with these marches is that there is also a vociferous minority who are they are not about peace at all. They are chanting things, as we know, which are anti-Israel. Sorry, thank you very much for filling that in. Anti-Israel, this idea of, you know, from the river to the sea. And there was an interesting article in the Standard today from a woman who was saying that she just said, perhaps, you know, what we should do, or what they should do, the organisers should do, is call out anything which is absolutely anti-Semitic and hideous, and actually call it out and say, oi, you, don't do that. You know, actually weed out the people who are not doing it for the best of reasons, and who are doing it, some of them, she's saying, of course, because they're angry at everything. They're angry at the West. They don't want to live anywhere else, but they're angry at the West. They're angry about the Israelis. They're angry about so many other things that they're doing this.
When we look at the footage on screen now of these protesters attacking the police and clashing with them, proportionally, the amount of clashes the police are having with protesters on these marches, it's the equivalent if you're taking a Premier League football match where there's 70,000 people and you're getting 5 or 6 arrests at each game from hooligans. We wouldn't turn to football matches and then say all football fans are now banned from every stadium because of this small amount of people who are doing it. These guys who are causing the issues, they're out there looking for a fight. And unfortunately, people like the English Defence League and these far-right Brit extremists are going down this weekend looking for a fight. I don't think either of those sides really care about the causes. I think they're looking for that clash. And I remember when Black Lives Matter were having their protests and their marches, there was one day when, again, these far-right groups had said, we're going to go down there and we're going to have a fight. So Black Lives Matter cancelled for that day, so it's to avoid the clash. And I think in this case, we should probably actually say to them, leave it this week.
We should, but I think that if you have a look at Armistice Day, and this is why I feel uneasy about having anything banned, that even though I frankly disagree with pretty much everything that people are asking for on the march, on the basis that a ceasefire means that you have to have two sides who are prepared to engage in that, and you don't have that. And also, you have a lot of people there, and whether it's a vociferous minority or otherwise, who are chanting things which are seriously anti-Semitic, and it needs to be quelled. However,
and against the law. You must point that, you know, it's important to point that out. The police have the powers.
It is. But having said that, the reason that we have Armistice Day is partly because this country fought for freedom of speech. We've fought to have the right to be able to protest. We've fought to have the right where people can have freedom of speech, can say their piece, in the knowledge that we have a civil society that hopefully allows sensible debate about these things. So that's why I'm hesitant about banning it. But I also think that I just wish that people, and I know that they won't, but I just wish people would do a little bit more homework about why calling for a ceasefire is in itself anti-Semitic, and why, when you start to have a look, it's a lovely idea, by the way, but you can't deal with a group who doesn't recognise you and wants to kill you all.
Why?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think it's really deeply regrettable and tragic that people that care about the plight of the Palestinians, which I think any decent person does, they have been reduced by this, minority of very mentally unwell and actually quite malicious people. Because I don't think that's the case. I don't think calling for a ceasefire is anti-Semitic. I think that's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, you're right. The people that died in the First World War died so we have the freedom of expression. And I think it's regrettable. I hope they don't do this, because I think they're tarnishing the whole sort of pro-Palestinian cause with this brush. But, they have the right to do that. I do think that we should remember that other countries would not tolerate this. Armistice, if the Armistice Day was, as significant in other countries, non-Western countries, no other country would tolerate this, because it's such an affront to the values of those countries that they actually think, no, this is so deeply offensive that we cannot allow this to go ahead. And also, I think we have to remember, look, if we're going to curtail people's freedom of expression in this way, we actually do ourselves a disservice. I want to know the people that have the audacity to go and march on this day. I want to know them, because I don't want people with these kind of abhorrent views that can shout anti-Semitic stuff, not the majority, by no stretch, the minority. I don't want them to be hidden. I don't want to have this false sense of security that I'm living with people that share my values, when in reality, they're happy to shout anti-Semitic stuff in the streets of our capital. I want them to be seen. I want them to be known. I want the Prevent Police program to keep tabs on these people, so we know these kinds of individuals in our midst.
Couple of things to bring you up to speed on. So whilst we've been on air, the organisers of the march have declined the Metropolitan Police's request to rethink and to cancel